Hi, students. I wanted to go over our business writing assignment because this is a really important assignment in this class. You will submit the rough draft in week 4 and a final draft and then a reflection on it. These directions are located under the course assessments link and also in the week 2 and week 4 weeks in Blackboard. I've just already downloaded the document to highlight some areas to pay attention to. So these assignments together, the rough draft, the final draft, and the reflection are 15% of your overall grade in the class. And that's because it's an important assignment. I've highlighted a couple of the course outcomes, which is kind of like the objectives, is to construct and then reflect on a well-written appropriate workplace document, and then you produce a career-focused writing for an intended career audience. And of course, I want you to read through the description, but basically, this assignment is you responding to a prompt as part of a job interview. Sometimes jobs have some kind of written component to show your writing abilities. And so I really like that this is a very realistic scenario. I've had students say, yes, I've done this before. So there's the scenario that you want to read, and then the directions. I'm highlighting a couple of points from this. So there's 3 prompts you can choose from. So just choose the one that you feel that you have the best answer for. Um, and then so this is, to demonstrate your writing ability. So it needs to be multi-paragraph, well organized. Um, I encourage students to look for professional language and tone because this is for a job interview. Um, so write as if as if it was part of a cover letter. That's what you would kind of the goal would be. And again, paragraph structure. Um, there is a word count of 550 words, so you can, look. I don't know if you can see the bottom of this document. You can see the word count in words. And you do need to submit the assignment in Word. That's because when a student attaches an assignment in Word and Blackboard, it allows me to provide really detailed feedback. For example, if there's a sentence fragment, I can identify that for you. And then, of course, you want to ensure you save your work since you're going to submit a final draft. You do not need to use outside sources. If you do, you need to cite them, but that's not really doesn't really make sense for this assignment. And then here's a description of the scenarios. Like I said, choose the one that you feel more uh, and drawn to in terms of what you could write about. And then there's just an example template for some ideas about structure. And on the last page is the rubric. I encourage all students to look at that closely. This grammar mechanics is the largest part of this assignment. And the second category is organization. So that's where I'm looking at for paragraph structure and just enough detail. That's where the word count comes in, for just again how thorough it is intended to be. And then appropriateness for intended audience. This is something I really wanted to highlight because it's about context and it's valuable to think about the context. So there's a big difference between telling your friend a story about something really hard in the workplace and what you would say if you were applying for a job interview. It doesn't mean that one is incorrect. So, for example, if you're choosing the scenario that says something about, when um, a project didn't go as expected. If you're choosing that scenario, you want to focus on what you did in the situation as a way to get back on track. You don't want to be speaking negatively about a coworker or really anyone. And that doesn't mean that they were not at fault, but again, this is the context. The person reading this doesn't know you. And so that's why it's different than just telling a friend who knows you and they can say, oh my goodness, that person was out of line. But that's not the purpose here. Um, and so I would just avoid that. And you can, of course, speak of someone's actions very objectively. If someone didn't show up at work, you can just say that they did not come into work and leave it at that. The other thing I wanted to point out is there's one scenario where it talks about when responsibilities became overwhelming. So what I want to highlight if you choose this is you really want to emphasize that you were talking about something in the past tense. You do not want a potential employer to think that you are currently overwhelmed with something in your life. You want to really say, oh, this happened, but this is what I've put in place to ensure it doesn't happen again, or something like that. Just again, as the context of saying, I overcame something challenging. Um, and as the last thing I wanted to encourage students is we have a BrainFuse writing lab. There is live tutoring where you can, meet with someone right away. There's also a writing lab if you feel good about the content but want help on the grammar or something like that. You can submit it to the writing lab. And that is located under the ePortfolio and tools. So because this assignment isn't due until week 4, I really encourage students to take advantage of that opportunity. Microsoft Editor is great, but it doesn't catch everything, and they can really be offer help with other areas. If you have any questions on this assignment, please post in the Ask Your Instructor forum or email me. Thanks.